For example, Fanucci says China's central bank could put an expiration date on the digital money, similar to how lottery winnings have to be spent before a certain date.
It means that the Chinese government could set up a whole lot of things to have your currency maybe valid or invalid based on its own priorities. This is almost like handing over the keys to your business or to your finance department in some ways, because you really can't control what at the end of the day may happen with the funds that you're holding.
We've only been getting 20% in the year 2001 and 1944. We're getting it now, but we're spending so much. And if you look at the new numbers, in the next 10 years, we will spend $10.5 trillion just on interest. If you look at how much we spent on interest...
I got the over on that, by
No,
the way.
but look...
No, I got the over.
Since
it's going to be a lot more than that.
But since 1940 today, more than 80 years, we've only spent $9 trillion on interest. This is what will break America. Every great society collapses when they overextend themselves, and this is why it's so critical.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher, and you know I come back with that video just to make you think.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.
And guys, we know these CBDCs are definitely programmable and will have a time limit. And we know China is leading the way, and the only thing they're doing is playing the Hegelian dialectic. We know as soon as they bring the American people to their knees, the same thing will come to the Western world. But first, we know they need that crisis. But right now, we do have the distraction of the debt ceiling. And we have McCarthy speaking of empires that collapse from overspending. And we know that blank check in the United States is over. The United States dollar is ending, and that's the reason why they want to cut the spending. It's the fall of America to Babylon with the United States world reserve currency and the rise of the BRICS nations led by China with that digital yuan backed by that digital SDR. And we know if the robots, algorithms, and drones are taking over the economy, very few people are going to be paying inside of Medicare and Social Security. Remember, guys, do not take your eye off the goal, and that's the fourth industrial revolution. They want the machines to take over the economy and the sheep go inside the metaverse. And when it comes to Bitcoin and crypto, once this debt ceiling is solved, a lot of liquidity is going to leave the market. And that means that 99% of these cryptos are going to fall by the wayside. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you, liquidity is going to shrink out the system the fastest ever in history. And in 2025, we're going to start moving into hyper deflation. And in Bitcoin and crypto, we're definitely going to get another crisis, whether it's Binance or Tether. And we see the media and the politicians are acting like they're protecting the masses from investing in Bitcoin and crypto. And guys, we know from the history of the stock market, when the markets crash, all of them crash, including the NWO stocks. But as it rises, we know the NWO stocks and cryptos are going to rise, and they're built around the fourth industrial revolution. But we know the media, the politicians are there to scare the people and make them indecisive. Remember, the NWO makes money on whether the stocks go up or down. But that's the reason why they do not teach finances in school. While the masses are out spending money and distracted, guys, make sure you're in the lab, because you do not want to get caught on the wrong side of history. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you. And you know I give you the truth, nothing but the truth. Yes, the truth hurts, but it sets you free. And remember, my people perish from the lack of knowledge because they reject it. And we know the Most High is going to reject them, because the knowledge was right at their fingertips. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you, because he knows. When it comes to the New World Order, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
Is simply just an order of doing business in the House, because you've already spent that money. You've already agreed to that budget. How do we come up and figure out to make sure for the next budget go-round we're way smarter about this, but not put the fiscal authority of the United States in question?
Right. That's why I said to the president, let's be rational, let's be reasonable, and let's sit down and negotiate. Because should we continue the same behavior going forward? I agree. A debt limit, to make it simplistic, is giving your kid a credit card, they charge it all the way up. You're responsible to pay it, because you did it, but aren't you responsible to not continue the same pattern? This is a moment in time that so many times in the past that we can have fiscal reform on using the debt ceiling. Let's raise it, but let's change our behavior. And I told the president this when I met with him. I said, I'm not going to raise taxes. We've got more revenue coming in at any time. And we're not going to spend as much money as we spent last year because they've increased it 30% in the process. So everything's on the table. Let's sit down and discuss.
We had former Vice President Pence on. He was all over Medicare and Social Security, and really sort of pointing, it's the third rail. It's always been the third rail of American politics, saying that it's going to take presidential leadership to actually broach the subject. But it's been broached again, and you ran from it immediately because they're going to use it to demagogue it and say that you're going to cut it and you're going to push grandma off the cliff again, and you know, people aren't going to have. But that's something that it would take real leadership to bring that up. You're going to bring that up?
You're never going to solve this debt problem by one party. It takes everybody together. And the interesting part in the new CBO numbers, it's the first time in the 10-year window all three trust funds go insolvent. The Highway Trust Fund, Medicare, and Social Security. 2032 and 2033, so all three of them. So you can't ignore the problem, but this is the challenge. If you watch what the president's doing, he's out there saying something that's a lie about Republicans, that we want to cut Social Security and Medicare. We do not.
You want to fix it?
We want to fix it, right? And what we want to try is find savings in the waste of where they spent the $1.7 trillion before.
They raise the age.
Look, whatever we would do on that would have to be bipartisan. But he's trying to make politics out of that. So I say that's off the table.
It's like who did the groundhog see his shadow? Is winter over? You know, there's 6 more weeks of winter, 6 more months of winter. Are we in the spring? Where do you think we are? Will there be new lows, for example, intermediate-term lows in Bitcoin and Ethereum and others?
Well, you know, one thing I will say about crypto, it has the endless capacity to surprise. So, you know, anyone who says they can predict what's happening in crypto is just making it up. And, you know, right now we're in the midst of sort of the silver great crisis, the banking crisis, right? And so, you know, there's a loss of trust in crypto banks. That's obviously not good. But one thing I will say is that if you look over, you know, the past few weeks and you look at some of the regulatory actions in the United States, see some of the stuff the SEC is doing, there were moments where you felt like, again, there was this sort of regulatory action happening, you know, almost every day, but it wasn't really affecting Bitcoin's price. And I think that's an important lesson here that, you know, whatever the US does, cryptocurrency is very much a global phenomenon. So even if the SEC were to continue cracking down on cryptocurrency and cryptocurrency exchanges, like crypto can still live outside of the US. And that's what we're seeing. So I don't see it ending anytime soon. And I don't see the momentum completely dying anytime soon, but I wouldn't say that we won't see some short-term negative surprises in the near future because there has been a contagion effect. And like I said, these sort of companies and these projects imploding, they tend to sometimes seem to come out of nowhere. And we could see that happening again in the near future. I think it seems like Congress is probably going to have to play a role here just in establishing sort of who regulates what. I don't think this is something that the SEC can do on their own. And clearly, we are seeing a lot of talk already in Congress about crypto, but most of it is just sort of reacting and it's kind of negative. And it's like, you know, we need to do something, but it's unclear what exactly is going to be done. But yeah, there's some basic things that could happen out of Washington. You know, there's been talk, for example, about rules about stablecoins. People have been talking about this for a while, but the U.S. still doesn't really have like a clear roadmap for that. So yeah, I mean, I think Congress is going to have to play a stronger role just kind of in establishing sort of just some rules of the road for crypto, which we don't really have right now.
How important would it be to have a spot ETF for something like Bitcoin? Is that ever going to happen? What's the timeline for that at this point? And what needs to be done for that to actually happen? What would Chair Gensler need, do you think?
Well, I mean, you know, it's hard to say, but right now the sentiment about crypto is so negative in Washington that I don't see that happening in the immediate future. You know, a lot of the spot ETF, I mean, crypto advocates have been advocating for this for a while, saying like this is a safer way to sort of like regulate crypto and Bitcoin, but you're not, given the sentiment in Washington and giving sort of the fear and this feeling that crypto is something dangerous and something, you know, to protect Americans from, it doesn't seem like the prospects for that are great at the current time. But yeah, I mean, there's an argument to be made that that's a way to get crypto within more of a regulatory framework and to make a safer way for American investors to invest invest in trading crypto. So, but I don't see that happening immediately.
Going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
And so we'll import Chinese-based CBDC technology. So it's going to be CBDC in a box provided to you by the People's Bank of China.
It's Cryptoteacher and the New World Order book, plus the 3 kids books. It's time to re-educate. Also, new to cryptos, Coinbase, Bitrue, Binance. Do not forget book links and crypto links are in the description. The stock channel, guys. Don't forget to go like, subscribe, spread everywhere. You have your Kobo, your chip stocks, your banking, your gaming. While everybody's sitting at home, get home stocks, the Seaver, the biotech stocks. And while everybody's at home wishing they were still getting that free money, what are they doing? Drinking and smoking weed. Don't forget about those stocks, and you have a wonderful day. The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, you know I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids books. You know I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate. Not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save New York from COVID 33. Part 3. King Joshua and Grandma Tam goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.